I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it.
I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
Well, we're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening. So wake up with Michele Meiche. Be pleased to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening. Understand what living awake is.
Hey, Soul Lights. How's everyone doing? All right, if you're new to this podcast, hi, I'm Michele, and it's really, really great to connect with you, all of you. Get cozy. I'm in the mountains. Looks like it's going to rain again, so I've got my decaf cappuccino, got the hot water for some tea on, got my water, got a nice big sweater on, and I am good to go. If you want to listen in the chat, that's great. If you want to ask questions, you need to get a profile with Blog Talk Radio. I think it's just your name, email, or whatever name you want to give, your handle, so to speak. And, of course, you can always listen by phone. That number is 347-539-5122, 347-539-5122. And you want to press 1 on the keypad if you want a reading or you want to talk. You just have to press 1. Make sure you're pressing 1 because I see a lot of people in the queue. So I don't know if you're listening, but if you did want to talk or had a question or comment or you wanted to share something or you wanted a reading, press 1. So press 1. I'm going to put it in the chat also, the number. And I do this every time, but we always have new listeners, so. Because I may not pick up if you don't press 1. And then sometimes I get the emails or comments. I waited 45 minutes and you never picked up. But sometimes people forget to press 1 on the keypad to get on air, or they press 1 and then they walk away and are doing other things, which I get it. But then you got to be aware. And pressing 1 just unmutes you so that when I click on your number, you're not, you'll be unmuted and you'll be able to talk. All right, gang. So let me just share a couple things in the beginning before we dive in and get to readings and also some channel guidance and information. And there's some stuff I kind of want to chat about. Love it if more of you would subscribe to the Awakenings podcast on YouTube. We will be going live. We are going to be doing a video cast. But what we've been doing right now, thanks to Jacqueline Hansel, she's been really helping a lot. You guys, if you need a great editor, whether content, blog, whatever, she is on Instagram. And if you follow me, or you can just look at my followers, she's there. Anyway, so we're taking recent podcast episodes, but also some of the gems of the past. I mean, a lot of them are gems. Most of them are gems. I'd say 98%. But we're just going through. So even if you're new to the podcast, it's a great way to get to know how everything started with Awakenings and some of the great guests that we've had on before. We've had quite a few comments on some people that, most recently, who's on the other side now, though, but Dr. David Hawkins. Oh, my gosh, who else? Bernard Gunther, just different ones. We've had so many people, but it's nice. So if you would support the podcast by going and subscribing, that would be great. Hopefully also get the notifications for when we go live, which will either be mid to end of January or February. We're still trying to work out the dates because I also want to be able to have call-in. that would be super, super helpful. And also, those of you, I know a lot of you watch the videos, Soul Insights and Tarot on YouTube, but if you would subscribe also, and if you want to keep up to date with the posts there, get the notifications. So I'm really wanting to expand the community to overlap in a lot of different ways so that when we start the bigger changes, yes, even bigger than 2020 and mid to end of 2023, and especially 2025 and 2026, that there are a lot of networks supporting communities, places of true connection, and in my mind, great support and information. So we'll be linking with some other communities also, and I'm open to other communities you think we should link to or reach out to or guests. So if you have any ideas, even guest suggestions, any suggestions for what you need in support, you can always email awakeningspodcast@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts, let us know what you need. Many of you have been going to Patreon, my Patreon group, Soul Awakening, and everything has my name in it. So if you can't remember the name of the group or the YouTube channel, just Google search Michele Meiche, 1 L, and Meiche, Meiche, and, stuff will pop up for you to choose from. So if you do want a deeper dive into metaphysics and spiritualism, there is the Patreon community there. There's different ways to connect depending on the level of support you want, how much support that you want. It's minimal. If you just want to support the channel, you can even donate. There's an appreciation tier, or there's a tier just for a few videos, and then there's the other tiers. So a lot of different ways to support and be supported and to get the information that's right for you. One thing that I would suggest, though, is to really do an inventory on your life and see, what do I really need? A lot of people, I'm finding that it's a lot of mental, emotional support, even though we're doing, I'm doing occult teachings, metaphysical principles and teachings. I'm focusing on spiritualism and spirituality, but I do try to weave in some of the mental, emotional, especially emotional support, because the best way that you can, weather change and uncertainty, and whether it's small change, gradual change, cataclysmic change, unforeseen change, is mentally and emotionally being prepared. That's really the only way. And I say that as someone that's had a lot of change in her life, a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of trauma, gone through a lot. I've had a lot of great experiences as well. But what always got me through definitely was the right support, not woo-woo fluff. I mean, I like woo-woo, but I make the woo-woo practical. And maybe that's the teacher-therapist part of me. Because if you can't ground what you're learning into reality and use it on a day-to-day basis, a consistent basis, then it's really useless information. Even graphic novels and comic books have some kind of payoff or outcome or lesson in there. So you really got to look at the storyline of your life to see an honest assessment of where am I really at and what do I really need? Am I in this circular pattern where things keep repeating and I can't get out, I can't make the changes I want or do what I really want? What is it that's blocking and stopping me? And then you have to put in the consistent work. Everything on the earth plane takes consistent work. It does. And some people check out. And I think for me, what I've seen, it's like you need to have that support because it's work all through your life. And the people that I work with that are very, very, very successful in a lot of ways and also monetarily successful, they have always coaches. They work with me. Maybe some have a psychotherapist, some have a psychiatrist. They have a nutritionist. They get the help. They get the support. And I know sometimes people say, oh, I don't have the money. But the thing is, there's a lot of ways you could, if you look at what you can offer, sometimes people will take exchange. Sometimes there's sliding scale. Sometimes you can work with students. Sometimes you have a skill that you can say, hey, I need this and I'll help you with this. I have this skill set. You can always find a way always find the help that you need if you really want to and you really want to make the changes, if you make that a priority. For me, whether I've made very little money or a ton of money, I have always found the support. It always shows up. If that's your intention, you know, and then you put it out there, you will get that support that you need. And also when you show up for support and you're willing to give, that also empowers you. You know, we're empowered both in the giving and the receiving of life. And again, it's all about honest assessment. You know, I'm amazed how many people can't do an honest assessment, even with themselves, to say, wow, this is really my pattern. This is what holds me back. Or I do put too much stock into something. You know, I put too much emphasis into something. And when you can do that, you may not be able to do it with other people, but at least if you can do that with yourself, then real change can happen. When you look at your true motivations and your intentions, that's going to be a biggie, I'm telling you guys, starting next year especially, because we're really getting into this like much more severe, extreme part of the soul alignment. And it's almost like a gardener. You know, you've seen tree trimmers. When there's certain parts of the trees that are diseased or dying or dead, they cut those suckers off. So there's going to be ways that parts of us that we're not going to be able to access. We're not going to be able to plug into that old matrix that says, oh, let me just hack it. Let me just do it this way. You know, I always do this and this works. Or that doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter. And it will just keep coming up in your face, coming up in your life, however you want to look at it, until you can make these honest assessments and then make the changes. What are your intentions? What are your true motivations? What do you really want? There is no wrong motivation or intention. There really isn't. You have to then just decide, is that getting me what I really need and want, you know, big picture, or is that what I need and want, is that deterring from me? You know, I had a friend a while back and was always telling me, oh, everybody's wearing this, everybody's doing this, always having to buy the latest and greatest. And trust me, I was a model, did some acting. I had a life traveling around, you know, jet setting around the world, this and that. But I guess for me, because my true motivation in life really was to always just be on the beach writing poetry or riding my bike, or I don't know, being in the mountains or traveling, you know. Yes, at one point I got into like buying a lot of stuff and my identity. And I at one point realized, wow, that's my wounding. And I could also see it in my chart. Divine Mystic, who's in the chat, you know, astrology. Well, it was showing in my 2nd and 8th house because my moon is there and Jupiter, and it's an opposition. So what I realized, every time I was in imbalance, I was overspending, you know, or overdoing or overachieving. But I had to do this honest assessment myself, you know, and then I worked with therapists, of course. But really what helped it when I stopped, you know, I looked. I'll never forget the time. I think it was right when I was leaving England the 2nd time. And I went, wow, I can see that every time that happened. So I learned how to catch myself. That's all I'm talking about, guys. I'm not talking about judgments. I'm talking about getting real. Because until we do, we're not going to really have that fulfillment and that attainment that we really want. Or if we do get it, we're like a bottomless pit. It's not going to satisfy us. So you have to kind of find out. And I told this person, they're like, everybody's getting this, you have to get this. Or, you know, and they would get it. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm the type of person when I go into a boutique or a store, and if they say everybody's getting it or everybody's wearing it, then I don't want it. I want what's authentic or genuine me, what I'm drawn to, because I know myself. I have a strong sense of self, connection to my soul. And so I don't care if everybody's doing something. If it doesn't resonate and connect in with me, it's just hollow, you know? And so we really have to watch that, because our whole society is based on this gluttony, this consumerism, this taking in, to try to fill this void. But one of the things is the void is a part of us. It's our potential and possibility and unfolding. So there are going to be times in your life where you feel this void, you feel empty, you feel, ooh, there's a lot of space inside me or around me. What is that? And you want to fill it. Drink, drugs, whatever. Gambling, shopping, not being able to be alone, overdoing, overeating, overachieving in the world. And the problem is that void is your potential, your possibility, and it has to, like a well, it has to be drained sometimes. And you're really never empty. It's just you're expanding more into the unknown, more into your becoming. I just posted this on Instagram. And by the way, come follow me on Instagram, you guys. Come follow and say hi. Let me know how you're doing on your soul path. So I learned that a long time ago, and I kept watching it. I'm like, okay, what is my motivation? I'd look at other people and what they're doing or their behaviors. And I'm like, that void is always there. People talk about filling the void, not wanting to feel the emptiness. It's like it doesn't matter how many people you're with, how many children, how many pets, maybe you have it all. Maybe you have a farm and you have you have pets, and you're a rancher and you have cats and dogs and pigs and you have kids galore, and you got a husband, a wife, a partner, whatever, and you got grandkids, or you've got extended family, and you're still going to have that space of the becoming that many times gets fulfilled. It gets filled up. You feel good. Oh, a great meal, a great conversation. You feel fulfilled by something that your husband or wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend or family member goes through something. You feel satisfied. You feel happy. You have a great birthday. You have a great dinner. We have to look where the obsession of every occasion it has to be special. I have to be celebrated. That's all trying to fill that void, to say I'm important, I'm loved, give me attention, give me. But no matter how much someone gives us, if that's the game that we're in, if that's the matrix, if that's the design that we're in, it's designed for insufficiency. It's designed for lack. It's designed for limitation. So we're really going to have to be assessing that, and because we're being nudged and pushed into experiencing and expressing from the extended or expanded realms of consciousness, and you could say higher realms of consciousness, which is more spirit, which is through the subtle energy, through the unified field of consciousness, that what I need and want is already there in some form, in some way, and that I am the creator of that through my thoughts, my beliefs, my ideas, and my actions. And then remembering I'm on the earth plane, so it is going to take consistent effort. It's going to take perseverance. But then there will be breakthroughs. There will be leaps. There will be exponential change, exponential, positivity, because I'm tapping into more of the unified field of consciousness, source energy, the infinite. I'm tapping into the bigger well. So I'm just sharing this with you all to give you guys a heads up, so that hopefully some things that I say causes you to pause and you're like, maybe I better prepare. Maybe I better look at myself and see, what's going on inside me, so that if something does, happen in my life or externally, because there's going to be a lot happening in the externals, that you can say, oh, I saw that coming, and I'm not going to identify. Because the thing is, I've been saying this, when I was doing it 2009, and then the last, one of the talks that I did, a tech talk, maybe that was 2015 or 16, I'm not sure. But I talked about this, moving from consumerism into creativism. Consumerism is man-made or human-made. It's ego-based. Creativism is the very nature of life itself. That is consciousness. That is, we are creator beings. We're energetic beings, but we're creators. And we even had Dr. Bruce Lipton on the show. That's another one. Jacqueline, I didn't put his, we got to get him on the YouTube. Let me write it down. How can I not have had Dr. Bruce Lipton? on YouTube. That was a great episode. But he talked about it, and some of you were here. He said what they called imaginal cells, that there are imaginal cells within our body, which are creator cells. They imagine. And this is like where the 100th monkey comes in. There's by what we're focused on. This is what, guys, I got to tell you this. Come on. This is so important because we're creating the new paradigm. I just talked about this on my Instagram. I'm going to be dropping these metaphysical, deep dive bombshells bit by bit so that people go, oh, yeah, and align to that. The new paradigm does not get created, built, I don't care what phrase, word you want to use, by happenstance. It is by us. It's in the backs, the labor, the shift in consciousness, the healing, the awareness of us individually, and then as we come together as a collective, but not as the group, as the individual. And that's what Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto's, is going to be showing us. Pluto conjuncting, or actually it's going to square, Pluto squaring Uranus, is showing that out of the unknown, out of our unknown, there's a leap. But the leap cannot happen because we're process-based. That's why I do processing in the work that I do. Everything's a process. The whole universe works by a process. Something comes out of something else. The seed of the old is in the new. The seed of the new is in the old. The seed contains everything, the tree, but we see it as a seed. Then it becomes a flower, whatever. It becomes whatever. We're seeds. I just posted this today on my Instagram, a bit about this. The consciousness unfolding. You can feel the energy. So what everyone has to learn how to do is feel the energy, not the mind. That comes later. Feel the energy of where we're meant to go. The problem is we've been trained to block the energy or stop it because we go, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. I saw that so much in 2020. And believe me, I was getting ready to move to Spain because I can work anywhere in the world. I think it was 2018, 19. I was planning and I was going to go, then I had those visions, but guides didn't tell me that it was going to be 2020. But I had the visions all about the vax and the COVID, everything, where it came from, everything. I've got that on Patreon. I'm going to be putting it on Rumble because it goes into the Cabal, Bilderberg group. It goes into a lot of deep dive of stuff. And I also talk about some information that I got from ex-FBI Director of California, Ted Gunderson. He was for a short time married to one of my teachers and then really good friends, metaphysical teachers. So we have to follow the energy. It's in the Tao. It's even in the Tao. If you've studied the Tao or the I Ching, this is why they, thousands of years ago, they used the I Ching, the easy way. That's what it's called, the Tao, the flow, the easy way. It not only in interpersonal relationships, but in governing and warfare. And it's same with trends, when you can see the trends, however you're reading them. But we have to heal the ego part of us enough, the part that has all these conditioned response patterns that blocks and gets in the way and tries to manipulate the energy instead of aligning first with the energy to then shift it or manipulate it. Manipulation of energy is not bad. That's what the magician does. It's able to take the energy and use it by sleight of hand. But you have to be in the frequency of what is and what is becoming. You can't be in the energy of what was going on before the becoming. That's why people try to hold on, and you can see it happening right now in society. You can see it in the government. Because there is a bigger mind, the universal mind, that we're part of, but there's an aspect of it that we're all removed from unless you learn how to tap into that. So you have to learn to connect to your own energy, read the energy, connect in through the subtle energy, and be able to read that and see where do I need to go? What do I need to do? The energy is always going to tell you. And I'm going to be talking about this more, and I'm actually even doing some courses and workshops coming up on that. A lot of you do it instinctually, but then what happens is it gets socialized out of us. You know, it's like we're almost socialized to take the difficult way, the hardest way, and not see when we're on a wrong path because we want to stubbornly believe I can make it happen. Or it doesn't matter what I do, you know, I'll always manifest my destiny. Well, that's not true. I mean, it's true to some degree, but there's a lot that doesn't get manifested because we stay on the wrong road or wrong track. We stay on the wrong path. We keep doing the wrong things, the wrong behaviors, the wrong mindset. And then there's not enough support on a societal level, on a group level that says, hey, check yourself. Maybe you might be wrong. That's okay. You're not wrong as a being, as an essence, as a spiritual being with a soul. You're not wrong. It's the idea or the behavior. How you're unfolding is perfect and in harmony with the divine, with the universe. However, the choices that get made, that's what we have to look at. That's what we have to start looking at. And you want to get a jump on it because even with Venus going retrograde, Venus in Leo going, you know, is going to be retrograding. There's some aspects there. I'm not going to dive too much into the astrology of it, but I get to channel messages, and then I like to check it with astrology and go, okay, how is this playing out on an astrological level? Venus is our values and is our money, our monetary system. It's what we value in life, what we place value on, and how we feel valued. Also loved. So this means there's going to be big monetary changes in the money game, changes in stock market, also with Uranus and North Node in Taurus. So what we value, how do we value ourselves? And again, this isn't about having nice things or not having, you know, I love nice things. It's not about don't buy things. It's not about that. It's about, is that your value and worth caught up in what you have or don't have? Because if it is, then you're not going to be able to make the changes you're going to be needing to make mentally, emotionally, for some of you even physically or materially or maybe on a health level. You're going to have to disidentify with certain things and take that energy and use it to create new directions for yourself. So sometimes what seems like loss brings more gain later. But if you're playing the game, everybody does it. Everybody has this. Everybody buys this. You know, everybody goes here. Everybody does this. Everybody does that. Then you're losing touch with your soul. You're not connected to your higher self. You're not aligned to your soul, and you're not hearing the messages because everybody does this, everybody does that, everybody is cool that does this, listens to this, is not going to be supported anymore. That's not the soul. The soul is an artist, is a creator. It looks at the creative way of expressing and experiencing in uniqueness. So if you can, I would just say just be real with yourself, non-judgmental, and ask yourself, is this really sustainable, what I'm doing? Is this essential? You know, we had the whole thing with essential workers. That wasn't just human. That was spirit saying, you know, God, the universe speaking, going, what's essential, right? What am I really doing? You know, I love watching these shows sometimes. I saw something on YouTube, and this woman had, oh, God, I don't know, is it 4,000? No, more, because some Birkin bags and Kelly bags by Hermes. Some of them $2,000, $5,000, $40,000, $12,000 bags. And I know somebody's multimillionaire or billionaire. But then I'm thinking, honestly, how many of those damn things can you have? How many can you use? I guess you open the closet on shows, you know, like I was watching, whatever it was I clicked on. The guy that was doing the interview looked very cute, little cute gay guy, little peachy guy, you know, his makeup on. He looked just so cute. So I thought, who is this guy? What's he talking about? So he's interviewing this chick and all the Chanel and different bags. And I'm not judging, I'm observing, and I'm asking, how many of those things are you wearing? Because I've been around people like that, and I've been in those closets. And you only wear a few. You have, I guess you keep them. It's like collecting art. It's like being a collector. It's collecting. But remember, everything is energy. So when you collect a lot of something, and it's the energy flow, and again, you have to ask for yourself, how much are you collecting? Is it so much that the energy is getting stuck? Because remember, as energetic beings, money is only a small portion. The biggest amount of energy is our energy in motion, is our emotions, is our ability to conceive and create. But if we're grabbing and grasping, we're not creating. We aren't. And our soul then is languishing. Because our soul doesn't want to just attain and grasp and consume. It wants to extend out. It doesn't want to just take in. The soul wants to extend out, whether a picture, a poem, a thought, a word, a piece of jewelry, I don't know, whatever it is for you. You can see children that are very connected to their soul. They want to say something at around 2. Hey, I got something to say. So if you're only grasping and taking in, whatever that is for you on whatever level, look within and see, what do I want to share? What do I want to give? What do I want to put out there? How do I want to extend myself out into the world? Connected to my soul, living more from the higher self, what do I want to extend out? Because when you do that, the abundance is coming, the prosperity is coming. You have to extend out. And I don't mean jobs and careers that are exhausting you, that you're just showing up. That's a different kind of extending out, because there's no true fulfillment. When you're extending out, you're sharing. There needs to be true fulfillment. It needs to be life-enhancing for you. You need to feel a sense of joy at whatever you're doing. And it's not about the job, because some people, whatever job they're in, my accountant loves numbers. He loves, my God, he lights up. He talks about these big computers he has and how everything does this, does that. He's got everything organized. Okay, that's his joy. Some people, that's their joy. And he helps others, so that's part of the joy too. So it's not about the job, it's about, is the job, the career, is the way you live, is it right for you? That's the question to start asking, and to start making small little changes that bring you more in alignment of your truth, of what your soul really wants for you, which is you, what you really want for you, what's in your design. If you don't really care about something, don't try to get it or buy it or do it or be it or have it just to fit in or feel like you're doing something that now makes you a part of society. That makes you in the cool kid club, that makes you, well, I'm doing this, I have this. But is it really what you want? And that's a lot of that Pluto, last degrees of Pluto in Capricorn, but also, again, that Venus retrograde is over the summer. I think it starts in July, the transit. These Venus transits have been bringing us more and more into our beliefs, our ideas about love, about exchange, about value. What do we value? How are we valued? It's bringing a lot of that into question. All right, gang, anything in the chat? And also 347-539-5122, getting to callers. I'm bad, I collect crystal bowls. But are you using them, Sue? It's not about the collecting. And collecting is fun. I collect some things. Coins. There's certain things I collect. I love tarot. I collect tarot decks. I collect crystals. I have some crystal bowls. Used to collect cowboy boots, but I wore all of them. And that's not to say you have to wear all of them, because some people collect art. Again, it's individual. But sometimes people collect things and they don't do anything with it. Are you creating with it? Like, what are you doing with those crystal bowls? Are they giving you enjoyment? Are they giving other people enjoyment? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of artists will collect art. You can tell, guys, let's be real. You can tell if whether it's you or someone else around you that you've met that's taking a lot in, either overbuying, overdoing, and that could be also, like workaholic, martyrdom. Are they really fulfilled? Are they really fulfilled? Because to some degree, the people that overdo or over-collect things, and I've been around a lot of really wealthy people, millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaires, they have vacuums in them. That's why they keep collecting. They buy this, and they buy people. They collect people. I was one of the collections for many people. Great dinner parties and being on the yacht, but I knew the drill. I was like, well, I'm just one of the interesting people. The way I look, and I'm a psychic, and I'm an astrologer, and that's a nice dinner companion. I can do great cocktail talk about almost anything. So yeah, that's kind of So all I'm saying is look at the whole, because what you're collecting, if you're not actually utilizing that energy, it's causing stagnation in your life. When we have too much stuff, we know this metaphysically, we know this mentally, emotionally. Psychologists talk about this. I mean, this is with clutter. You have clutter in your house, you're creating stagnation somewhere. And that could be mentally, emotionally, it could be physically, and health issues. We're going to have to look at all this game because it has meanings. It's all energy. So where there's cluttered areas, there's cluttered mind, cluttered stuff. We've got to be able to let go of some things to move forward. Or they'll be taken away. We're critical degrees of Pluto and Capricorn moving into Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto gets rid of stuff. So does Uranus. And so we've got lovely little, another square, multiple squares coming up, parts of the tension. I'm just trying to give a heads up. I'm not judging. I'm in the same process as all of you. I have to look at my own life and do accordingly. Like, what do I need to get rid of? What do I need to release to move forward? You have to get rid of something. There's all kinds of stories about this and sayings, even cliche-ish. What are you getting rid of to move forward? You have to make space. You have to make room energetically. Otherwise, something is going to become stagnant. So I'm just saying, close of the year, maybe just start looking around, judgment-free, looking within yourself. It could even be a belief or an idea that's clogging you up. It could be a behavior. It could be a food. I don't know. This is where your own empowerment and connecting to your own higher self, the inner healer within, the master of your own inner psyche. Psyche in Latin meaning soul. That's becoming psychic. Like, oh, I feel I got to do this, let go of this. I feel I got to let go of that. I'm holding on to this dream. I'm holding on to this idea. I got to update it. It doesn't always have to be stuff. A lot of times it is, but it doesn't always have to be stuff. I invite all of you, please let me know how this goes. If any of this resonates to you, and even if you hate what I'm saying, then that means there's charge there, so there's something there for you to look at. Let me know. Let's do this in January. Let's get really clear out energy and be really fiercely honest with yourself, loving, compassionate, understanding, and honest with yourself, even if you can't be with other people, that honest. It's not about other people. You have no accountability. It's to yourself. Like, okay, you know your deal. You know how you really are. You just have to love yourself for how you are and say, okay, I've been doing this a long time, or I've had this, or I've been thinking this way. Let me just try something new. Let me change it up. And then let me know. Let us all know how this unfolds for you. Oh, Jackie in the chat. Okay, already started looking around at my stuff to get rid of. Just gave my husband costume jewelry to set, and I'm constantly getting rid of clothes. This really hitting home for me. Yeah, great. That's great advice. And I just a few months gave eight bags of clothes to homeless. I think it was maybe August, September. But I still have more to get rid of. I still have more. I'm getting rid of some of my cowboy hats. my hat collection. Ones that I've had a long time that I don't wear, and even some are new, but I like the brim to be really kind of stiffer brim. So I'm looking and going, okay, and the hat, it's a crown holder, right? Crown covers your crown. It's good for insulating energy. So no judgment. Just do it with love, care, and kindness, but radical honesty, guys. Come on, radical honesty. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do more. Yeah. Okay, let's get to callers. Lovely callers. You're on air. Hi. You're on air. Hello. 813, you're here. I'll come back
Hello?
to you. Yeah, you're on
Hi.
air. What's your first name? Hi, what's your name?
My name's Holly.
Holly. Hi, Holly. Holly?
Yes. So I have a question. I see the numbers 1111 all the time, and I was wondering what they mean.
Ooh, love it. Okay. By the way, I do have a big explanation on my YouTube channel, Soul Insights and Tarot with Michele Meiche, and also on those of you that really want to dive in, also on my blog, soulplayground.life. But 1111 is like a tuning fork. 1111 and 111 are not particularly angel numbers. They're more galactic numbers, starseed. A lot of people identify with starseed that see 1111. 1111 means that you're on the right path or track, or you're getting there, and you're about to do some major shifting in your life to become more spiritually connected to your higher self, connected to your soul. It also guides you to the people that you need to connect with. So it's really like, I always say it's like a chiropractic adjustment. It's an energetic adjustment that you're getting to align more to the frequency of your soul path, and the new paradigm energies that are coming in. It's also a very synchronistic number. Usually people that start seeing 1111 start attracting different people into their life that are part of their soul purpose, part of their soul plan. Destiny. 1111 has a lot to do with accessing your destiny. So I would take it that you're definitely on the right track, and you're going to be attracting more people that are more in alignment to you. You know, maybe that are waking up. Yeah?
So I have another question, because I'm in the middle of a big move, because I've been feeling really stuck for the last 2 years. So I just put in my 30-day notice in my apartment, and I'm actually driving right now on the highway from California to Texas, so I can have a little more freedom to get grounded and attract these things. But I have been talking to somebody, and it's been a really long time since I've had feelings for somebody, and I just want to know if you have any hits on if it's going to go anywhere.
Well, where is this person? Because I do feel the thing is with the 1111, you usually attract a lot of different people in your life that are supportive of some part of the path for you. There's some part of your path that's meant to be highlighted right now. So I don't know. I feel like there's a very strong connection. I don't know that I could say that it's a long-term connection. Okay? But it's definitely a very strong connection. So you should just be focused on connecting and, like you said, getting grounded while your world greatly changes. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, because it's definitely in a big shift right now, and I just don't know if I'm making the right choice by moving here, but I needed a little freedom to play around with, you know, how I feel and where this next adventure is going to take me.
Yeah, well, 1111 brings a lot of influences. So it could be you moving around a lot and finding the right place and right people, or it could be that you stabilize in one place and there's a lot of people coming in and out of your life. So usually 1111 connotates a lot of movement and change. It's also can be travel. A lot of people see 1111. There's a lot of travel, or about to be a lot of travel. So it's bringing some level of newness and variety in your life. So you'll know once you get there whether you want to stay there. And then if you do end up staying there, then a lot of people will be coming in and out or in your life. If or you could move around.
Yeah, I do move around a lot. I mean, I work for the airline, so I'm constant movement.
Well, there you go. Okay, so there's the movement. So yeah. All right, Holly, keep us posted, and good luck on your move.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care. Hi, you're on air.
Hey, Michelle. It's Jessica from Pennsylvania, and
hey, Jessica.
definitely hearing you with that mental and emotional support during changes thing. I'm going through some stuff right now. I've applied for a bunch of jobs. I'm waiting to hear back. It's, I guess, a slow time in the year, and it's kind of driving me crazy because I have nothing to do. And then the things that I come up with to do, they don't take all day, and people are going to call me, get back to me. I'm in the middle of, I had an interview a week and a half ago, and I still haven't heard back from the guy for the second interview. So it's just making me feel, I keep feeling this like really uneasy energy, and I don't know what to do with myself. I just keep breathing into it, but it's just so uncomfortable. So your thoughts?
Jessica, you're doing the right thing. Well, you're because that is that void, that is that becoming. And see, one of the things that's happening also is as we're getting out of, let's say, earth-based focus, or let's say material, it'd be the pentacles in, in the tarot, and more into the mental realm. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to manifest things. Things are still going to take persistence, consistent effort on the earth plane. But we're going to be manifesting differently. We had to manifest or do our life very much by labor, kind of very labor intensive. You see more things are automated, even with these apps, right? And that is creating more space, which people want to then fill with consuming or doing something, or someone from the outside coming in, like, okay, a friend, a family member, I got to do, so we're all going to have to get used to the space of requiring us to do less. So it could be things like, walking, meditation, creating, or just being. I know sometimes I've had days where I have walked like 3 different times because I can feel that. And I'm like, what do I do? Everything's done. Everything. Okay. Even with clients, there's so much energy coming through that there's not enough yet outlets for it. And so that's part of the reformatting of us on a mental, emotional, and psychological level, because we've been trained, that you have to do a lot or make things happen. And we did back in the past. I mean, think about it. People, even farmers, the picking the fruit, some stuff is done by machine. There's just a lot of things that are getting automated, and that's just an outpicturing. It's the automation is not causing it. It's consciousness that's causing that. Automation is just one aspect of it. Getting things done, or things that you thought you had to do, certain things you had to get done and do, now they're becoming obsolete. Or somehow, it's just the randomness or the synchronicity of things. It's not really random. It's really this design. It's like you might think, oh, I got to go to the post office. I got to do this or pay this or do this. And then you get a notice that, you don't have to do that, or you can do that online, now. You get a notice you can do it by phone. So that's one less get dressed, do this, go in traffic, depending where you live, or find the post office, go to the post office. So there's going to be more and more and more and more of that. And this is why I'm saying people are like looking on the outside going, what can I consume? What can I fill this void with, this space of time? Or energy. I have all this energy. So we have to even learn to use our energy differently. I know people that are like, oh, I have to do yoga. I did Pilates. I went for a run. I did this. I did that. And it's like, because they have all this anxiety. They have all this energy that they're not utilizing. Sometimes the energy just means rest. Let me recycle my energy through my lower and higher chakras. Let me do the microcosmic orbit. Let this energy go back into source, just like, like a blood transfusion, right? A recycling blood. We need to do that energetically, but we've been trained so much to use everything up until we're exhausted. And then that means we've had a good day or we've been productive. We're going to have to be changing that model. So I feel you, girl. I feel you. It's just what you're doing, what you need to do. Breathe through it, sit through it, move through it, dance through it, jump in the air, take a walk, sit down, take a nap, do whatever. Tune in with your body and see if there's any image or picture that comes up and or feeling of one way to connect in with this energy. It may not be to release it. You might have this extra energy that's actually healing something in your physical body. And this is what I mean. See, once we start thinking of ourselves more as energetic beings, we're like, well, I don't always have to use my finite energy, because we have finite and infinite energy. Maybe I'm just building, or maybe I'm getting extra blast of energy from the higher energy centers because it's healing something physically within me or mentally or emotionally, right? There could be deep healing that's taking place.
Yeah, and that's, I love that, because that actually came through the other day. I was like, you see, you sat with it, you had some cries through it, and then this realization came through about the whole consistency thing that you were talking about. And then I did some things with my own business. Yeah, I did some things with my own business, and I was like, oh my God, this is the missing thing that I've haven't been consistent over time. It's like I'll do a lot of work and then I'll leave it, and then it's like I used to never like being consistent because it was always boring to me. Right. And I didn't think I had energy to keep doing it, but I was like, look, you're exhausting yourself by doing these big bursts of energy that you're really running your adrenals, and you don't want that life anymore that's like chaotic and drama. But so, I mean, the other element of this is that I am coming to peace with it today. I mean, I have all this energy, so I'm thinking, okay, let me use my thoughts to manifest this. At least I get a job offer, and then I can relax after that, because I've been working at this for months this year. This has basically been my project this year. So,
but I would just say manage your energy. It's not, we've been taught that we have to do, and then we get to the payoff. Then we get to relax. Bring the relaxation. Bring the conscious relaxation into what you're doing, because that will also release the energy. It's shifted and adjusted. Relaxation does take energy. So if you bring that in your process, then you're going to channel some of that, what you're feeling is excess energy. And by the way, for everyone, a lot of this energy is also just higher vibrational frequency energy, and we don't know how to deal with that yet. We don't understand. Yeah, it's like lightning coming in through us. We want to get rid of it. We want to make it happen. We want to be productive. We want to do it. And to try to retrain the lower mindset, the beta consciousness, and the ego, to retrain or reframe that hey, you don't have to exhaust all your energy. You could channel it in a different way. Sometimes taking a nap even channels that energy. It's not logical. People are like, well, if I take a nap, then I'm going to be, wide awake. Not necessarily. Yeah. All right, sweetie, keep us posted, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep us
I'm
posted.
so wired. It's like, no, take care of this job. Think positive. And it's like, no, it just ruins my mental.
Just be where you are, and you're doing it. I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, that you're just working with. That's what we have to all align to this energy, and now learn how to, connect with it, manage it, be with it, allow it. It's such a higher level of living and being, because we're getting out of the old mental constructs, the constructs of the ego or egoic mind, the constructs of winning success, dress for success, all this formulaic way of being And that's why, honestly, I think this is why addiction has been so rampant, because we were never taught, all the societies since the beginning of time have not been taught how to handle energy or manage energy. We've been given prescriptions. We've been given prescriptions and recipes, and I see it with the people that I know around me. It doesn't even matter if they're spiritually inclined. The more they stick to those prescriptions, and they hold to, because there's a lot of validation. Like, oh, I got up early in the morning, I did my yoga, I went for a run, I did this, and then I had my clients, or I went here, or I went to work, and then I went to the gym, and society is like clapping, yay, oh my God. Oh, and then I went in the backyard, and I picked vegetables from the garden, and I made a salad, and then I went, and it's like I went, and society, everybody's look how much that person gets done. Look at what they do. But they can't just be and channel the energy, funnel the energy. It's all based on external validation. And that's what is greatly going to be changing in like a huge, huge way. That's why I'm saying we all need to more mentally and emotionally prepare. But thanks, Jessica, for calling in, and thanks for what you shared, because I feel if people listen to the replay, what you shared is a really great first step for everybody to just start doing, to kind of get more of a handle on this energy instead of trying to do with it. And like you said, get exhausted or consume. It's like it's the filling of the void, because all that energy, it's like a big vat. It's a cosmic vat within us, big, wine barrel or something within us, and people want to fill it up. And it's like, no, we just need to allow the energy to come in and be filled with that energy. And then you're inspired, like you said. You got the realization. Then the inspiration comes in and the inspired action. All right, big hug, Jessica. You take care.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, you're on air. Hello, hello.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
It's Sunray.
Hey, Sunray. Hi.
Oh,
welcome.
How are you? Thank you. Oh, I miss you so much.
Oh, I'm glad you called in. Beautiful. I'm doing well. I'm in the mountains. It's a great walk through the mountains. And been doing some sharings out here. So, Sunray, so what would you like to share? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I have an update. I wanted to update with you. Yeah, so the last time we spoke, I mentioned I didn't know what was going on. I had home insecurity. And since then I've found a place. And also through this past month. Yeah, and this past month
you found a place. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
It's temporary, as you mentioned, and as everything in life is. And it was challenging. I did have to stay in Airbnbs and friends and try to figure myself out. And then, interesting, I did meet someone, and it was a fast relationship, and I'm not sure if you've experienced this before, but it was quick and then it ended. But I learned a lot from it, and I learned kind of like that love that you can get from other spaces. I learned a lot about how I receive love and how I can share love. And that what I wanted from a relationship is something that I can get from other friendships and other relationships that does not have to be that not like what you get from love is not only from a deep romantic relationship, but you can get that same love from different places. And I've also learned that
beautiful.
I want to build this relationship over time. And this is just really great. And I don't know if you have any further insight as to all of this current that I've been, in.
No, I would just say, wow, that's a great learning, and I know that's helping so many people by hearing you share this. part of your path. And I would just say get settled within, get centered and settled within, clear on yourself, and then that extends out into the world, and that's where you're at right now. It's really about you and then how you connect and interface with other people, but you're starting to get that clarity, and that is not just a beautiful thing, that's a magical thing. That's where the magic happens. So anyway, thanks for dropping this on us, this beautiful, beautiful wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Michelle. Yes,
big hug.
To next week. Yep. Bye.
Bye. Drop in the wisdom, you guys that are calling in. Thank you. And we'll be getting to our guests. I see them now in the queue. Hi, you're on air. What's your first name?
Hi, this is Carrie Hart. Am I on?
Hi, Carrie. Yeah, you're on.
Hi. Okay, good. Well, I'm your guest.
Oh, I had a different number. Okay. Do we have two? Oh, are you? Okay. Okay, just one. Let's see. I had a different guest here. Let's see. Let me make sure. Hold 1 second, Carrie. Hi, you're on air. Yeah, that's okay. So that's what I thought. Paul, can you hold on, please?
You bet.
I'll be right back. Okay. Carrie.
Hi, Michelle. Hi.
Hi. There's some kind of mix-up because I have my pre-notes and everything for Paul is our guest today, Fletcher. So I'm not sure what happened. I will. Were you supposed to be on last week? Was that you?
No. So it's
okay.
Fine. You go ahead and talk to Paul, and we'll talk later.
Okay. I'll see what happened with the producer. Okay.
Sure. No problem.
Sorry about that.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, I feel bad. That's never happened. Okay. Hey, Paul. Welcome.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I'm like, uh-oh. I can. I'm not sure what happened. A little double book there or something. But I have your information in front of me, and you're in the calendar invite, so I'm not sure what happened with Carrie, but we'll have to get that sorted out. Anyway, welcome.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Yeah. So, we've been deep diving, and had a lot of callers call in. People are really going through a lot right now and doing some deep dive assessing, that's coming up. So I want to get a bit of your background and just what you feel comfortable sharing. I know you're a master teacher and healer, but I want to know exactly what kind of master teacher, healer, or how you perceive yourself or how you assist others. And then we'll go from there.
Okay. First, I wanted to say thank you, Michelle, for allowing me to be on your show. I appreciate that very much. And I have been listening. I listened to your recordings, and I listened a bit today, and really enjoy the way you care about your base. You really listen and you care, and that says a lot. That's probably why you're so successful.
Oh, thank you. And I do. I see us all on this path together. And I either say I'm in front or behind, or it's happened to me already, or I've observed it happening. So we're all going through it at the same time. And that's just what you said makes you a master teacher and a healer. So I can see that no matter what your modalities are, that you have that awareness and that assessment. You're seeing the healing energy under what is said or through what is said or spoken. So, thank you for that and welcome. So you've heard some of the people, so that can kind of give you I almost feel like there's this like deep, heavy, but light energy where people are just like pivoting, ready for some kind of get real breakthrough. I don't know if you're feeling that too.
Yeah. There's so much occurring with humanity today. People are being forced to heal.
Yeah.
And it can be quite uncomfortable. I think that's one of the reasons why they turn to people like yourself and me, because they don't know where to go.
Yeah. And I want to be real, right? we want to be
Yeah,
real
it's important.
about it.
You need to acknowledge people's pain and what they're going through, and there's our own internal stuff. There's stuff from outside of us that affects what we're going through, and we need some support mechanisms. So, very happy that you're one of them.
Yeah, thank you. And I love what you said. Let's talk a bit about that support, because that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the stuff, too, that's out there, and, of course, I've been doing this for so long, I've seen kind of I'm not like that old, but, I've been doing this for a while. And there can be a lot of fluff. I would say I love woo-woo. I'm very woo-woo, but it's got to be practical. And I just think that sends people down dead ends and cul-de-sacs that you have to get, like the force to the healing, the being honest with oneself and seeing what do we really need to do. I think that's part of it. When you're healing, you got to be honest with yourself of like, what do I really need to do? It kind of goes into challenges, and even healing on a soul level, like, okay, what do I need to do? Not what is everybody doing, but what do I need to do,
Yeah, and ultimately, at least in the wisdom I've learned in my short life, it's the first 20 years we're basically at the mercy of other people, and their information, whether it be positive or negative, impacts us at the level of soul, and we tend to form our personality accordingly. And then the next 20 years, we go through a waking up process, and then the remainder of our life is fixing whatever got messed up the first 20 years, and then trying to get to the finish line of stopping this reincarnation cycle. At least that's where I buy in at, and trying to get to the finish line with joy and happiness, and bring as many people along the way.
Right. Yeah, and it is part of it. I mean, the process, this whole idea of healing, empowerment, I mean, it's kind of in the programming, it's in the passion play of Earth. Kind of, meant to go through that and learn how to connect more as a soul, and I do believe eventually our societies will be more based on that, on the soul expression, soul experience. But where we are now, we're getting there. We're creating or healing enough to get there. Okay, but Paul, let's go back because we have so much to chat about. Let's go back to the master teacher and healer, what that is. And I know that there's also this process or path you're on, the Tao of healing. If you can touch a little bit about that, what you're teaching and healing, what modalities you're using, or what you consider healing. Maybe there's a different approaches and definitions. And then if you can tie in the Tao of healing as well as one of the modalities that you're doing, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Michelle. The simplest way I can put it is, we all come from the same one source, and we all are a soul. And in fact, the highest wisdom that I've come across shares that everything comes from source. Every energy, every matter, every speck of sand, everything has source within it. That means your sore knee has the source within it, and your sore neck, and your relationship, and things that we might consider inanimate, such as our finances. So everything has a soul is one of the highest wisdoms that I try to share with folks, and it's based on teachings that I've received. And it's actually one of the people you interviewed, Dr. and Master Sha. And he's the one that I received these authorities and wisdoms from. And, I listen to your audience quite a bit, and I hear so much life pain,
similarity.
This relationship or that, I don't know how to handle this, and I just got fired, or so many stories, right? And so what I do to try to help people is assist them to realize that, first of all, we are connected to each other. So that should not be a new idea. But we are impacted by our own thoughts, words, and actions, and those of our ancestors. And we are impacted by those things outside of us, such as walking through a room when the negative news is playing. That will impact our vibration. And this vibration that we come in with, all of our souls positive and negative information contributes to the manifestation in our life. And then we have an experience. Let's say we have a positive experience where we meet the love of our life and we go through this hope and dreams and setting everything up. And then maybe it doesn't work out after 4 or 5 years. And we go, well, what could possibly happen? It was my soulmate. What happened? This wisdom, Tao healing, shares that the reason it went south is because you two have done this rodeo before, and there was some mistakes that were made that if you see them coming, if you recognize it's on your vibration, if it's quantum entanglement between you, then you can transform it, you can heal it. And that's what Tao healing is it recognizes the origination of a suffering, which is the vibration at your level of your soul, from your own thoughts, words, and actions. And then the healing is to transform whatever is creating your suffering at the level of point of origination. Instead of at the mind level or the heart level or the physical level, we deal with it at the level of origination. That's the essence of what I do.
I like that. Similar beliefs to what I have, and I call it working beliefs. They seem to be working, but with that consciousness or everything coming from source and getting back to that origination, getting back to that what we call original cause or original blueprint of that. Now, is that the Tao of healing or Tao healing?
Yeah, it is loosely termed Tao healing. And for those that are kind of raised an eyebrow, well, Tao, isn't that a religion? Taoism is, and people ask me, well, what can you teach me about Taoism? I'm like, pretty much nothing. I know about as much as anybody else because I don't learn that. I don't teach it. Tao simply means source. So Tao healing means source healing. Most people have heard of like Reiki, and there's pranic healing, so many amazing forms of healing out there. So how do you segregate them or separate them? And in this case, what I would share is that this is a form of the source, frequency, and vibration. Most people do have access to versions of that. And this is a transmission, though. Like I mentioned, you had an interview with my teacher, Dr. and Master Sha. He's probably the most prolific healer on the planet, if anybody did their research. And he can actually transmit healing authorities to people, and I've been blessed to be one of them. And, I don't do any healing. I'm just a nobody. But when I become the channel and let it come through, I have to say I've seen some pretty amazing things. And I can only attribute it to the wisdom, which is when you heal things at the level of source, then the mind and body will follow.
Yes. That is so very true. And it's getting to that level, getting to that infinite space of becoming where all is possible. That's the profoundness of it, though, isn't it? There's ultimately getting to that level.
Yeah, we don't have to suffer. So many people suffer. They don't have to. If they realize that everything that might look unpleasant on the surface, it provides for them an amazing opportunity if they can simply see it. Hey, this occurred for me because of vibration on my field. Something in my field brought this to me, be it positive or negative. And if I cannot buy into it and go down the suffering avenue, but instead see it for the opportunity that it is, and then be empowered with the right toolkit to transform it, then that's how you level up. That's how you move forward. But so many people get caught up in the experience versus the opportunity that is available to them. Yes. Yeah.
This taps into a lot what we were saying at the beginning of this podcast, and I feel that it's, and even what I see as a channel, I'm seeing just much more of this realization of more of the energetics, the frequency, the vibration, the resonance. That's always, you're so right, where the bigger changes happen and the most consistent or permanent changes. Not always in the story. I mean, sometimes you have to get through the story. I mean, we have these layers and levels, but I do feel that we're getting to the place where that's the energetics is really going to be necessary it's cutting through the mental, the right, the mental realm, the story about it, and getting into the energetics of what's causing it, the vibration, the frequency, that design, that matrix. That's where the shift has to happen. And of course, working energetically, that's where it does happen. But a lot of people get invested in the story. And again, story is important, but it doesn't change in the story. That's why things don't change just cognitively when you talk about it. You've got to get to as close to original source as you can. So that's pretty amazing. What would you say, because a lot of people say, why am I having all these challenges? What's going on in my life? Or I always seem to have challenges, or things never line up for me. Do you find that there's a root cause? Like if somebody's always because we do go through challenges. I mean, that is part of the human existence and, passion play, I like to call it. However, when people are having chronically all the time, something is going on, I would imagine.
Yeah. No, it's energetically, as you said, it's in our field. And a representative example is someone I was working with the other day, and it's in a relationship. I'm doing a course on that coming up pretty soon, still under production. But the Tao wisdom says that if there's a history of, in this example, relationship where a person has difficulty finding the right person, or the persons they are with, it never seems to work out. What is often failed to be looked at is the commonalities. For example, the easy one is, I keep finding people that keep cheating on me, right? Some people can relate to that. Or another one might be, I always seem to attract people that are verbally abusive, right? And you could be very docile, and there's no reason why it would be that way. The wisdom is, in this or previous lifetime, you or your ancestors, most likely yourself, was not the docile one, but the one creating the issue. And so what would be suggested to transform that so that you don't experience that moving forward is you go inside and you recognize and you ask forgiveness for this in all lifetimes of treating that person or others in an unpleasant manner. Because if you're experiencing things over and over again, the math is very simple. You probably caused that exact same situation upon others. The dance is not to go down the guilt road, because to be perfectly honest, most people on the receiving side of unpleasantness, they're good people. If you're constantly getting beat over the head with money or not having enough of it or something, consistently unpleasant happening, most people I come across are really good folks. They wouldn't harm a soul, and yet they're suffering a lot. And very often it's because not of this lifetime, previous ones. But it's the recognition of that causes the shift. If we can recognize there's a reason it keeps coming, which is to say, hey, look at me. This is your opportunity to see the repeating pattern. Now you can ask forgiveness for this, not for who you are today, because you would not do that today, but any potential mistakes that have caused that form of suffering upon others, then you apologize. And then that person or persons that's doing that to you in this life, it's not okay what they did. You're not condoning what they do. You don't stick around and take in more of it. That would be foolish. You bring yourself clear of an unpleasant person, but at the level of soul, which is where all this information derives from, you do all of this forgiveness at the level of soul. You call the souls of all of those who've been harmed to you. From your heart, you ask forgiveness. And if you consistently do that, every day, 10 minutes, you can be very surprised. This is a self-healing method that we employ. And then the techniques that we use in the healing and whatnot that we offer takes it, 1,000 miles faster than that. But you can transform a lot in your life if you just recognize why these patterns occur.
Yeah. And the shifting of the pattern, and that's where I come in. That's what I love. That's the pattern. Sounds like you love too what you do. Let's talk about that, because we are patterns. We are a design, a matrix, a soul design, however you want to look at it, fractal, flower of life. Everything is this design, a seed that originates. Let's talk a little bit about getting to that original pattern, or its closest to it, because we're infinite, so we are one main pattern, but the soul is looked at as a spiral, spiral of life. This mortal would come in this earth plane, this mortal coil. So we're getting different levels and layers. I guess two questions I have for you, Paul. One is, where's a great place for people to start? You kind of talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, but I didn't ask this question, and I'll ask it of you. Where's a good place for people to start? Like, is it a reoccurring idea? Should they assess their life, do a little inventory? That's kind of what I've been suggesting. Just say, okay, I'm gonna start with this area, or I'm gonna look in this area, or this is what's holding me up. Because I think right now, a lot of people are still looking externally. They're not looking at what's going on in their life. There's all these external reasons. And even those external reasons are valid, like you said. You've gone through abuse, gone through trauma. But the answers aren't going to be by what happened to you back then and out there, because the pattern now is within you, that it's changed the soul design. It's an overlay on the soul, right?
Yeah.
So where would be a good place for people to start, I guess? Let's just start with that.
Okay. Thank you for asking, Michele.
Mm-hmm.
My suggestion would be for a person to first do what it takes to put themselves in a positive environment, and then move to that second part of the question. And the reason why is, when we are so stuck in our pain, it's really hard to even hear what the root is. Whereas if we can move ourselves to be in any form of positive environment, be it at nature, doing art, putting good music in our ears, separating ourselves from the negative forces around us, the more we do that, the easier it is to bring ourselves into a space of positivity where we can transform what that root might be. Once we do that, we start bringing that positive field into our field, we can much more easily see what the highest and next best step might be. And we are all manifestors, as you well alliterate in everything you speak of. We're manifesting. And what I think the biggest blocking point for everybody, and I do mean everybody, is that when we wake up in the morning, the evening, whenever we wake up, we step into our manifestation from up into this day. And if the predominancy of our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and the predominancy of what's on our vibration has not been shifted, then it creates today. And if we focus on that same stuff, that same person, that same coworker, that same I don't have sex, that same I don't have love, that same I don't have enough money, if we continue to bring our focus to today, which is built on the past, then we are in avoidance of our future. We are puppets of our own manifestation. If we say, I see this, but it doesn't mean it's what I'm going to have in the future, it's simply what I created up to this point, now I have something I can change. But in order to shift it from what I see in the moment, I have to have an end result of where I'm heading. So I encourage all of my student base to really have an end goal where they can happily see it, have an emotion associated with it, and instead of buying into what they see in that day, they can cognize it, agree with it, but say, yeah, I see you, but I'm not going to give you empowerment like I have in the past. I'm going to default to my new agreed upon future and emotion and know that every new day that goes by, it's getting closer to me. And then those validations show up for us because we're putting attention towards that versus the other. And this is a form of healing at the level of soul, because what you're doing is you're transforming the negative information by bringing positive into the field. It's very simple. These are all self-healing methods. The different healing that I do accelerates all that, but these are things that people can do real time for themselves right away.
Love that. Love that, love that, love it, and definitely resonate with that. Absolutely, yeah. And again, it's like it's a pattern interrupt to the condition response pattern that's overlaying the soul. And I think if people can really get that, it's an overlay. You know, it's like putting a cloth over your head. You can take the cloth off. You know, there might be light cloths, there's all these veils, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with it. You can see it for what it is and say, I don't buy it anymore. I'm kind of done with this. But most people can't get to that new vibration that they want, that new intention or vision or frequency or whatever. They can't get there because they're too stuck in the negativity, which is why I started out by saying, bring yourself into a consistent positive field, and then it's much easier to discern what do you really want, and then you get clear on that and start bringing emotion around it and default into that as much as you can, because if you're like me, I had to do this 1,000 times a day, but then it became 900, then 800, then less and less and less. But it's something that we can all do if we're cognizant.
I love that, and I do think you do it, and that's the whole idea, is being able to shift into that, whether it's 900, 1,000, or 5 times a day. It's just going into that, which is that truth of you. It's aligning to the higher self, into the soul. And the more we do that, the more we align and live in that space. See, and also, Paul, I definitely feel what you're talking about, what we're talking about, what we're sharing, and you've got some great suggestions here, is that this is going to be more and more crucial as more and more is dissolving and destructing in the old patterning, matrix, whatever you want to call old design, because we're the ones that have to be in the new frequency to co-create, first of all, to open up to the new emerging consciousness, and then create from that space. So we do need these tools of being able to attune and not, like you said, create from the old vibration or old frequency, or the less life-enhancing or the detrimental. Some of it's not even non-life-enhancing, it's detrimental trauma-based frequencies. Now, here's another question for you. What can help people from rolling back? We get so much, it's human nature, it is psychological, it is a protection mechanism. And unfortunately, we get a lot of validation from rolling back into that. Like you said, get up, you have the pattern interrupt, you get in the frequency of more positive, where you want to be more life-affirming, life-enhancing. Any thoughts of the rollback, how to counterbalance that, perhaps?
Yes, I have both a Tao healing answer and a psychological answer, and I think they're both relevant. Okay. And by the way, I have no degrees in psychology. It's just getting in there and going, swinging the bat and figuring it out. But in terms of the Tao healing approach, it would, sometimes, no matter how hard we try, it's really hard to get over that hill. That tends to mean that's where, and I'll use the word karma, but it's a form of a negative information that is very accumulated, right? And so if it's really hard, then that means it's a heavy karma, so to speak. So that's where we need to be really authentic in a depthful forgiveness practice, because to be perfectly frank, it can be that simple. If we truly recognize that, wow, I just can't get out of this addiction no matter what, there's a really good possibility I've created a significant suffering in others that I'm just unclear of. And you put your head on the ground and you truly do an authentic forgiveness. You could be surprised what kind of miracles that can create. But that's one facet. One of the other things that's a bit more real world is really asking yourself why. And a good example is people actually will go back to a physically abusive relationship. They'll leave it, and they know it's bad for them. They'll tell you it's bad for them. They'll write that it's bad for them. They'll go to counselors, and they'll admit that it's bad for them, and they'll go back to it. Why? And you can apply this to anything. Why would they go back to it? And the bottom line is there's a payoff. There's a payoff. They get something out of it at a level that is not conscious. So that's where the question needs to be. What is the payoff of going back to this? And in this example, the payoff for that person that goes back to an abusive relationship is attention. At least they're getting attention. It might be negative, but they're getting it. right? And so if we ask that hard question, what is the real payoff here? Why am I really going back to it? Then we can dissolve the return cycle by being conscious. And I'll give an additional warning to everybody out there. It's usually the fourth or the fifth why. In other words, well, why am I doing this? Typically, the first answer is the bullshit answer. It's the one where it is the topical consciousness answer. And you can't accept it because it doesn't go anywhere. You say, well, yeah, but why? And then you got to go, okay, but why? And if you sit with it and drill down 3-4 times and you finally get to that and you can't get past that one, that's probably the real answer. And then that's also what you can do forgiveness on.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Paul, I got to tell you, I learned that in, hypnotherapy school and especially medical hypnotherapy, which I studied, there's actually a process. It has to do with gain and loss. And we have to do this. I use it mental emotional, but when I was doing a lot of medical hypnosis and hypnotherapy for illness and certain conditions, we call them conditions because they're easier to handle, that had to be addressed. What is the gain? What is the process? And you're so right. People couldn't see the gain. But the truth is, I mean, as weird as it sounds, we don't do anything in our life unless there's some gain, even if there's trauma involved or, like you said, abuse. So I really hope people are listening to what you're saying, and people that are listening now go back and replay this. And again, I think radical honesty and what you're saying, the forgiveness, we have to look at when we stay in these situations, we are gaining something. We can't, yes, we've been victimized. We've received some form of abuse, but the staying there is a payoff. There is a gain. And I've had to go through it myself where I had to look at something and go, wow, I did, gaining something here. In hypnotherapy, we look at the gain and then the loss. But there's studies, the research has shown that if we don't see what the gain is or the payoff, as you're saying, we won't heal. We won't get better. Whatever area it is in our life, unless we take responsibility for that gain, that we were receiving something by that set of circumstances, and you could say vibrational frequency, and, and resonance, staying in that. If we don't come to understand that we did receive something from it, there was a payoff for us, we actually don't get better. So it's so profound what you're saying. It's everybody re-listen to this portion. I mean, that's so important. That's we can't go to that next level of empowerment because unless we can own that creator part of us, that creator aspect, we can't extend or expand in the next level of consciousness because then we're still going from the lack, the default, the less than, right? It's yeah.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Healing is very important.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to briefly state that healing is very important, especially at this unique time that we're in. Everyone that's listening is already awake, and they're trying to minimize their suffering so that they can be happier and healthier, in the simple version. And they wouldn't be listening to you if they weren't already awake. And the scary part is there's a good 70% of humanity who doesn't fall into that category yet. And the most awake ones are the ones that are the most suffering. But each of you, all of you that are listening, your soul chose this time to come in. Because when you have the greatest chaos, it's also the greatest time to elevate your soul standing, to elevate your awakening process and to become towards an enlightened being. That's this kind of a chaotic time. It creates heroes. Creates people that really elevate significantly. You sit up on a cloud in heaven and meditate, you'll move up, but it'll be, incrementally. You come down here and you plow through this field of difficulty, and you go through it step by step, and you clear your karma step by step. You be conscious of what you're going through. You work with it. You see it. You transform it. You do your forgiveness. You heal it, and you come back upstairs, and the guy that's sitting up there meditating, the Buddha, if you will, is sitting up there meditating, his cloud moved up 1 inch. Your cloud moved up, 1,000 feet because you came down here and did the hard work. Your soul knows that's why you came at this time. That's why you're listening to Michele. So, do the steps necessary. Stop being the victim and step into your power by becoming, all that you came here to be.
Mm. Mm. It reminds me of Girl Maya, this teacher that I had, and she said, anybody can go to the cave in the Himalayas or be in the ashram where everybody's saying peace and blessings, namaste. Although actually most spiritual centers have the most drama I've ever seen, especially because they don't do any healing. They don't work on the emotions, the emotional, the wounding,
So true.
Right? But actually, it was very interesting studying Hinduism. I don't remember if in Buddhism, I didn't go that deep into it, and I don't remember if that was a precept, but that the householder, what they called the people that had family and then went to work, to your point, Paul, were doing the most work on the planet, and it was the most difficult. Not the sadhu, the mystic, the nun, but those were looked at as easy. Even the guru. It was the people, the what they call the householder, which was, I think it was also Buddhism, because they said the Buddha, he left there being a householder, and yes, he perhaps had all this wisdom, but that's also looked at as a very easy path. But when you have to deal with, friends, family, spouses, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, kids, paying bills, because the sadhus and the Buddha, they don't even deal with money. You have to go into the ashram with, debt free. Mm-hmm. Everything's taken care of. Maybe you have to wash dishes or go in the garden, but everything's taken care of. So to your point, it's like the people that are really out here in the trenches and connecting to their spirituality and healing are doing so much for the planet, so much for all of us. We're all coming together, helping and doing it for each other by what we're doing individually. So, thank you for that point. I think more people have to hear that and realize that they are making a difference. A big
they
difference.
Are. Yeah.
Right?
It can be a bit overwhelming, because in these very unique times, through all this tumultuous transformation, it's kind of like clearing up 100 lifetimes in one lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It's really condensed, and it's like every time you turn around, you get hit again. I know everyone can resonate with that, but a big part of it is because of the opportunities that are available. And really all that's missing is enough folks like you and me that have the skill set to help people to move through it and level up, so that they're not getting beat up, but they're actually on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and talk about it. I'm really appreciating this conversation, because I feel like, a lot of times listeners will say, like, great conversation. I felt like I was a fly on the wall, and I just listened and got so much information. And because each of us are saying, not only have we gone through it, we still are. We're still on the soul path. We're still here. We're doing it. There's no little magic wand, but there's these consistent principles or things that you can do for healing. One thing before, I know we're going a little over time, and before wrapping up, if you talked about something, and I want to get your take on it, because I've had this kind of interesting realization with, like, we were talking about the awakening, and so many of us are awake and awakening more and more and more. But it's very interesting. I've seen, to your point, the need to go back to repatterning, healing, energetic, the whole idea of healing on this next level, where there was a lot about manifestation, creativity, making things happen, living from the soul. But now it's like, it seems like, oh no, we got to go back to this. We got to go back. What do you make of that? The idea of healing. I feel like there's a reemergence of the emphasis and highlighting the importance at this stage of the awakening for some reason. Do you have any understanding or thought on that, or what you've seen with the people you're working with? Anything you could share with us?
Yes, thank you for that, Michele. What I would share is that we have a choice with how it looks. Healing does not have to be suffering. The Buddha is quoted as saying life is suffering. And that may or may not be what the Buddha said. In my observation,
right? We can change story. If that's the thing, they may have been somewhat enlightened, but they still made mistakes or had a certain approach that may or may not be, you know what I mean, the highest vibration. So go ahead. Sorry,
and I think that's all a perspective. It's life. Life is life. It's how do we bring ourselves to it that causes it to be not so unpleasant. Everything that happens for a reason. How does people get out of the suffering and the victim? Take responsibility and realize that it's happening for a reason. That's the first step in leveling up and being positive and no longer suffering. And then start applying the tools and techniques that Tao Healing offers, and you just get a little bit better, a little bit higher, a little bit above, and pretty soon you are creating your life consciously, presently, and purposefully versus suffering through life and going, when is this going to stop?
So there's a different approach, and that's kind of what I've been coming to as well. And I like what you're saying. Doesn't have to be suffering. And I know I've changed my mind or understanding of things or restudied something or have had a different opinion, approach, or belief. I could stay flexible in that. So I feel like, I'm going to just throw this out to everyone, I feel like we need to be that way with everything. I don't care where the source is, from Google to the Bible or the Upanishads or Vedic or Buddhism. Some of those things are founded on, it could be limited to where we are now. Some of the things that happened with the typewriter may not be relevant now, or the old Kodak camera, or Polaroid, or what's the Instamatic. I feel like we all have to be willing to update. And to me, when you're saying this healing, it is an ability to be flexible and update our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, or principles, or dogma, or whatever I do with myself, or what I believe, or what I was taught. I think it doesn't matter. I mean, the Buddha is no greater than you, Paul, or our listeners. You know what I mean? The Buddha within, the Guru within, the teacher. Not all these people had everything 100% zipped up and right. No one can. I know I can. So I think that's part of that taking back our power or empowerment. And again, not being the victim, because part of victimhood is also giving authority over our life that, someone said life is suffering, or you get up and you suffer, or the earth plane is a school, or you suffer, or it's drudgery. All those format people's not only beliefs, but how they view the world and navigate the world. And so you can't expect to live from a higher vibrational frequency if all of life is suffering. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't go together.
No truer statement has been made.
Right? I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because we got those, I haven't thought of that in a long time, but all those little things planted in our head, do more for others, the kind of the martyr complex. There's a lot of religion. And we have to somehow flush those out. I don't know if your Tao Healing focuses on that, but we have to kind of flush some of those out and go, well, living a higher vibrational frequency from joy and love filled, how does that fit with the belief of life is suffering?
Well, it's simply a statement that obviously doesn't have any truth anymore.
Right. So maybe that belief is just it's obsolete. So anyway, Gosh, I could talk to you forever. We're winding out of time. I definitely love to have you back on. I love so much of what you've shared. I think you've given some really good practical things to do and, insights. And kind of just, it's all dovetailing to me. This podcast, this episode is so synchronistic because I feel like like you said, forced to heal. I think we're all going to have to look at this in big and little ways, what we've been discussing. Whatever's coming up, we cannot not look at this and act upon it at this point.
In general, all of us will continue to either be happy or not so happy, and the choice will always be ours. And part of that choice is what what do I want to do now that can help me to have less of what I don't want and more of what I do want in this new energetic environment that we're operating in. And there are many modalities that can serve you. I'm a big fan of going to wherever best serves me. And I know that what I do is not for everybody. It's for the right person at the right time, just as what's perfect for them is you at this time. So people need to keep their heart and their mind open to moving from teacher to teacher as needed and to healer as needed to allow their soul to get what is the nurturing that it needs so that they can get out of the funk that we often find ourselves in. I think it's very important to recognize there's no one-off answer, that there are many opportunities out there, and that's why this source is so awesome.
Absolutely. And also, to your point, having the modalities, using them, that it's a lifelong process. You have these tools or techniques or whatever it is, whatever people are drawn to, but you have to use them. You have to utilize it. You have to do the work. You have to get the healing, or open up to the healing. Whatever.
True. It's so true.
Yeah.
There's a statement that my teacher says, heaven does 50%, you do 50%.
Yeah. It's no good getting the book, getting the crystal, listening to the podcast, getting the reading, whatever it is. You actually have to do, kind of a circumvision, going around and do that pattern interrupt or circumvent, or do the tools, use the tools, do the introspection. Paul, how can people find you? I know you have a free course also going on, but if you could let people know what you have going on and how they can connect with you if they would like to, that would be great if you would share that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share that, Michelle. To all those that this resonates with, I'd love to connect with you. I do have a website. It's called Wellspring of Light, and the Blog Talk Radio and all the different shows that Michelle is on will show that link, wellspringoflight.com. And on there is a free course, and it's called Heal Your Soul, Heal Your Life. And it's like a 9 little 5-minute videos, about a little less than an hour of your world, but packed with valuable information that can assist you with awakening to how your life might be being manipulated by the negative information on your soul that you were unaware of, and how you can get back control of it and start bringing your life into a much more positive place. And that's a free course that I offer. And then there's many other things available on the site, but I won't go into those at this point.
Okay, and the website to get to was wellspringoflight.com, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Paul, for coming on and sharing, and I really, really enjoyed this discussion with you. Really got a lot out of it as well. So thanks for taking the time to come on and share.
Yes, my pleasure, and thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity in the future.
Definitely. Love it. Definitely.
Mahalo.
Take care. Mahalo. All right, everyone. Wow, this was a juicy episode. I may have to listen to it if I'm driving around. Maybe I'll put it on and listen. Let me know. Don't really have comments on Blog Talk, but if you're following me on Instagram, let me know, or on YouTube or Facebook, either YouTube or Instagram. If you're subscribed to or following me on Instagram or subscribed on YouTube, let me know how this landed for you. Or the next few weeks, if you can call in or in the chat and let me know if you integrated any of the stuff that we talked about today. But I just really feel it's really interesting. I feel this really dark heaviness, but lightness of energy. And dark heaviness, I mean more the void. Like there's this blanket over stuff that people are trying to get out of or see through. And it all has to do with the energetics, just like I talked about at the top of the podcast, right at the beginning. So that heaviness may just be your potential. It just may be the extra energy that's coming out from the subconscious. to be dealt with, to be utilized in life-affirming ways. So I do like what Paul said about forgiveness, and I'm just saying don't judge it. Be fiercely honest, but compassionate, loving, and forgiving with yourself, because that's the only way you're going to be able to reclaim that creator energy that is you and that you have. You've got to own up to what got you or how you got where you are. Yes, it could be parents. Yes, it could be mother, father. Yes, it could be what you were born into, where you are. But that's the soul chose that experience. And you're here now. So you got to deal with what happened with compassion and, may revisit it, replay it. But also what's perpetuating it, what's perpetuating the pattern. And I guess that's what I was really trying to get across this whole podcast. And then Paul brought in his take on it in his modalities and his viewpoint, which there's some nice intersection there and, crossover there. It's going to be critical, folks. Those of you that are on Patreon with me and you've seen some of the videos I've done of what's coming up in the years, but this will move you. Being fiercely, radically honest will allow you to thrive and move in new directions. It will free up beautiful source energies, creator, loving energies for you. It will, like who called in Holly with 1111, it will get you in that vibration to be navigated and taken care of by the universe and the universal energy that is you, it happening through you as you, and the universe drawing certain people and circumstances to you for a nice, fluffy landing, okay? But we can only do that by connecting in with the energetics. I did a post on this on Instagram. The energetics right now, extra important. Energetics, feeling, emotions, energy and motion, vibration, frequency, tone, sound, wavelength. What are we talking about? Energy. All right, you beautiful souls. I love you mucho amor. Love you lots. Big hug. I'm here for you. I appreciate you traveling with me on this soul path. Let me know how you're doing. And as always, continue to shine your light, share your insight, and of course, keep awake.
Awakenings broadcast every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michelle's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake.